what I've learnt connecting with elders is how in-depth the knowledge of every piece of the systems are. Like when to hunt, what flowers or birds come into a particular tree means, only taking what you need, propagating as you go so there's enough food for all.
Today on Dirty Linen, we are wrapping up a series that I've just enjoyed so much. I think it's so important to highlight diversity and difference in food. So I am thrilled to be concluding our series that celebrates new voices on food, the Diversity in Food Media publication edited by Lee Tran Lam, with today's chat with Chris Jordan from Three Little Birds in Brisbane. Chris, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Thanks, Dani. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the Turrbal and Yagara peoples as traditional custodians of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging who strive to build a better and more sustainable future for generations to come, and whose ancient knowledge and respect for country will be the driving force in solving many modern issues we face today.
Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge that I'm recording today on Boonwurrung land, and I pay my respects to elders past and present and really try to carry that knowledge, that respect and that acknowledgement with me as I go through my days. Chris, thank you for being here. Tell us about Three Little Birds. What is it?
Yeah, so Three Little Birds is a catering and events business that I set up. I was working in kitchens and working with native ingredients and working with some chefs who were using native ingredients, and I didn't see any other Indigenous people in the kitchen. So I decided to set up my own business, and we use native ingredients and ancient knowledge that I've been lucky enough to be passed down from my mentor, Arnie Dale Chapman. And in setting up the business, we've employed 3 young Indigenous apprentices, and it's just really something important, passing that knowledge down and having that holistic approach when using native ingredients.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, tell us about your Indigenous background, heritage, present.
Yeah, so it's something in my family that we've always talked about, and sadly it's been connected to shame and negativity, but it's something that my family are become proud of, and it's something that's now been celebrated. I think that was partly to working with Arnie Dale Chapman, who's been in the industry for 30 years, and I guess seeing the positive outcomes from my reconnection, and also being able to take some of that home. I taught my mum how to weave baskets when she was going through a really rough time with her knee reconstruction, and it's something that was really healing and something that's like really important to her now.
Wow, that's so powerful, Chris. I think, it's so many non-Indigenous Australians look to First Nations people to share knowledge, but what has to also be grappled with is the devastating impacts of colonisation and the dislocation that's come as a result. And I think your story in New Voices on Food speaks so eloquently and powerfully to this reclamation and this re-engagement, this recovery of this knowledge. And I mean, what a beautiful image of you teaching your mum. Wow, that's just bringing me to tears.
Yeah, it was really amazing, and now she's been able to teach my little sisters and my niece. She actually makes really, really amazing baskets. She's really good.
That's really great. So, I mean, Auntie Dale Chapman's an enormous figure in Australian Aboriginal culture, and I know her work through My Dilly Bag, which looks at working with Aboriginal communities that grow and harvest food, and also a lot of stuff with artisans and other creators. I mean, tell us about your connection with her. How has she been important to you in your food journey?
Yeah, Auntie Dale's kind of like a second mum to me. Like I really can't explain the connection. We first met, my mum bought her cookbook for me, and I came to Brisbane and I sent her an email and I was like, hey, like I just want to come and like work for you for free, and I just want to learn. And she was like, we're actually really busy. We need a chef. Can you like come in tomorrow? And like from the second day, I remember another staff member seeing us two interact, and she's like, how long have you known each other for? I was like, oh, we just met yesterday. But it was like an instant kind of connection. And yeah, she's really helped me through a lot of tough times. And she's someone that I call when I'm going through some stuff. But yeah, I can't thank her enough for the wealth of knowledge that she's passed down. I mean, she's 30 years in the business, and she's just so eager to, you know, let other young Indigenous chefs and, you know, creators, you know, succeed in the space. She's really paved the way for a lot of new Indigenous entrepreneurs.
And Chris, I know that Three Little Birds does a lot of work with kids. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we started working with Kapibunda Kitchen. Kapibunda is the Yuggera word for Lamandra, and that was gifted to the project by Gaja Kerry, who's the Yuggera elder. And it is it's an amazing initiative. It's a catering business that is inside Waco Correctional, and the curriculum of teaching the kids hospitality and cooking with native ingredients are actual orders that go out to clients like the State Library and a lot of elders' lunches, and it's a really amazing way to teach. I've never seen hospitality taught in that way, where they're actual orders and it's actual applicable situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so amazing. So what are some of the, tell us, like, take us in there, you know, what might be happening, what might you be making, and what is it like engaging with these kids around this?
So yeah, Three Little Birds and Kapibunda Kitchen, we collaborate on a lot of events. So we could be doing any number of things in there with the kids. Sadly, some of the youngest kids we've had were like 13 in there. So it is a very emotional space. We get 4 young fellas at a time, and yeah, it's just like a normal kitchen. Sometimes we play some music, and we start prepping the orders. We go through some ingredients, like do some tastings, and it's more about like having fun, and like there's no I guess KPIs. Like engagement is like the key. So if we see you know, these young kids engaging and, you know, just excited about something, it's a real win for us, I guess.
I mean, we know that Aboriginal people and Aboriginal youth are like disgustingly overrepresented in detention and correctional facilities such as the one you're working in. I mean, if you had like a audacious goal around this, what might you see as an outcome from one of the kids engaging with what you do?
Yeah, so from the beginning, we've tried to create employment pathways. There are a number of barriers that exist within the system, and we have been successful with young one fella who has come on as an apprentice with us.
Wow.
Which, it's really amazing. I just can't tell you how excited I was, and then how kind of proud I am of how he's working. And I mean, like, the odds are stacked like so heavily against you, and to see like this one kind of glimmer of hope has just been amazing.
Yeah, that must be so incredibly satisfying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Chris, tell us about the piece that you wrote for New Voices on Food, Volume 2. How did that come about, and how did you decide what to write?
Yeah, so I first met Lee Tren Lam, I think last year. I was doing this feast at Bleach Festival, and she interviewed me, and we talked about the concept for the menu, and started to talk about myself. And we've kind of stayed in touch ever since. And she just called up. We had maybe a 2-hour conversation on the phone, and that was it, if I'm honest.
And how did you decide, which parts of your story were important to share in this piece?
It just kind of came out naturally. We obviously edited and went through things afterwards, but it was just, it was really just, two people having a conversation. And I really wanted to make sure that my apprentice Otis was included, because it was about, the next generation of chefs. And I think his story as well is very important. And, giving young people this space to tell their own story as well is very important.
You talk about the way that you bring Indigenous foods into this scenario, and I love this bit where you say, we're always using Indigenous foods. I like watching them try a Davidson plum for the first time. I usually go, do you guys like sour warhead lollies? And they're like, it can't be that sour. I really enjoy that sour wake up. It takes over your body, but not everyone's into that. And then you go on to talk about lemon myrtle, and you say, hey, smell this, or take in a whole fish and we'll fill it and skin it, and we'll do half of it raw and half of it cooked. It's, you say you're there to connect and be understanding of mood and past trauma and leave any judgment behind. It just sounds like such a rich forum for sharing and, I guess, finding connection and belonging. Do you find that you get as much out of it as hopefully the kids do?
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what it is. You kind of just feel it out. And I mean, Davidson plums are as sour as warheads, so I need to prepare the kids for that. But yeah, just that engaging, or just doing something that they've never done before, or even telling them that they're doing a good job. I mean, some kids get in there and we're rolling, phyllo pastry, and like they're really good. And I don't think they've been told that they've been doing a good job, and praise is something, that they're not used to. and yeah, you don't know what's going on in their heads, or so it's you just kind of go with it and feel the room and try to get a smile.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there is a surge in interest in Australian ingredients in, I'd say, in all areas of the food industry. But what would you like non-Aboriginal people to keep in mind?
Well, I think what I've learnt in connecting with elders is how in-depth the knowledge of every piece of the systems are, like when to hunt, what flowers or birds come into a particular tree means, only taking what you need, propagating as you go so there's enough food for all. All this knowledge, if you're not buying from a First Nations business, if country isn't being looked after, I mean, First Nation peoples only make up 1 to 2% of the industry. So I think it's really important to go to the source and where the knowledge is, and using those supply chains. And I mean, supporting First Nations businesses is the easiest way to help create jobs and close those gaps of unemployment as well. So yeah, I think it's paramount to go through either local mob or Indigenous businesses when exploring or going down the avenue of using these amazing ingredients.
Yeah, love that. And Chris, tell us some of the dishes that you're loving cooking at the moment.
Yeah, so we've just finished an amazing event at Goma on the weekend, and this was a lunch we were invited to do, which was inspired by two real pillars in the Indigenous community, Gaja Kerry and her work with Kapibunda Kitchen, but also Ani Rose Elu, who's a Torres Strait elder, and she's been advocating for climate change for decades. And it was a 4-course lunch that was split into past, present, and future. So the past was a dish that I created for Ani Rose Elu, and it was inspired by her talking about her connection to country and how the germination of the coconut is what her umbilical cord is rooting down into the island, into country. So we served this beautiful namas, which is a raw fish dish from the islands with some smoked young coconut and a curry myrtle sorbet.
That sounds amazing and so resonant. Like, wow.
Yeah. It's something that, I mean, I've always been in awe of Ani Rose. Like, she just got back from COP27 in Egypt. She's an amazing auntie. And then we went into the present. So there were two monochromatic dishes, one black, one white, and they were how the ocean is seen as a resource as present. So it was kind of oil and gas, and it had seawater smoking out from underneath it. And it was some black squid ink cuttlefish with anise myrtle, mountain pepper, wattle seed, and I'd made a pandanus vinegar. And then the other one was representing bleached coral. So we had these white tapioca fish crisps made from the stock. We made smoked roe taramasalada, and some crystal bread I think we had on there as well.
Wow. What's crystal bread?
Crystal bread is it is a kuzu, like hollow clear bread. It's actually one of El Bali's recipes that we'd used in there. Yeah.
Fancy.
A little bit fancy. We keep it a little bit fancy. But yeah, just telling a story and echoing the voices of staunch elders in the community.
Wow. It just sounds so rich and sounds delicious, but I just love dishes with, such an incredible backstory and resonance. And it sounds like it would have been a very thought-provoking meal as well. And very exciting. Chris, I really have loved this chat. It's, learned so much from you and really applaud what you're doing. It's so exciting to think about these people like Otis who are able to, just be on a really wonderful path due to the work that you're doing. So, well done.
Well, Otis works harder than anyone. He's juggling a degree in IT, a chef apprenticeship. He plays football. He's a machine.
Well, I feel like he's a future podcast guest as well, so we've got to stay in touch.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being part of my series on New Voices on Food, Volume 2. Such a great book, and all the richer for your contribution.
Thanks, Dani. Thanks for having me.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This